Hey guys, Doward here. Today is going to be the first part in what's going to be a pretty major in-depth project here on the F250. My oil cooler is partially clogged, so I'm going to replace it. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to tear into it. I'm going to be replacing the oil cooler, the EGR valve. I'm going to be checking on the STC fitting, checking on just kind of everything as I go down into it. I expect my truck to be down for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to be working on this kind of in my spare time. But that's okay because my Colorado is back up and running in full condition. As you saw the previous video I did, I replaced that driver's side front hub, and she's doing perfect for me. So I'll be running around that for a little bit. I'm going to miss my girl while she's down, but she's going to come back better, stronger, faster. Alright, so before I do anything at all, I want to disconnect both batteries and go ahead and remove them. Whenever you're doing any kind of major work on a vehicle like this, regardless of what kind of vehicle it is, it's always your first step. You should always make sure that you disconnect all electrical power from the vehicle. And I can see I've got some corrosion all around that positive battery cable, so I'm definitely going to want to take care of that as well. Your hold down is right down here. Goes right there. Sorry I removed it, but you'll make sure you go ahead and remove your hold down, obviously on both batteries, and then just pull the battery right out. Now we got the driver's side battery. We'll go ahead and disconnect it. You see I've already taken the top piece and all off just to make that a little easier for you to see. Got a good bit of corrosion up here on this one too. Looks like I'll be investing in some better batteries before long. These came with the truck. They're a set of Napa Legends, and I'm unimpressed. I am ridiculously unimpressed. Now the hold down for this is right down here. You just unscrew it, same way you did the other side. Pull that up out, and we'll go ahead and get this battery out as well. So the next thing we want to go ahead and do is take the air filter out. We're going to take this box assembly out, get this all out of our way. Air filter's pretty easy, you just get these snaps all over it. Next thing I want to do is carefully disconnect my mass airflow sensor. I'll disconnect my air filter restrictor reading thing. And the next thing I'm going to do now is go ahead and disconnect the clamp at the turbo, and then I can pull this whole section out. Oh, I lied, sorry. I've got one more bolt back here that has to come out as well. Technically it looks like it's supposed to be 2 bolts, but there's only one there. You want to make sure you take out these 2 bolts back here. You can use a ratcheting wrench, socket, whatever works easiest for you. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the front end of this so that I've got some more room to get this out. So far we've just used 8mm and everything. Now that this is pulled up, the PCV line down here can be removed. And I prefer to remove it just right from the valve cover. So now we've got all of this off. We'll take both these parts and go put them into storage. I'd like to take a moment to discuss this with you. Topside creeper. I spent, I don't know, I think it was 160 bucks or so on Amazon. This is well worth every penny. I am leveled on 35s, and that's way too much for me to try to climb up on the bumper here and maintain my positioning while getting in this, tearing everything apart. Topside creeper is worth every single penny. Alright, now we've got the air intake system removed. Get rid of that. We'll get the air intake system removed. So the next thing that I'm going to need to go ahead and do to get the turbo out is I need to disconnect the I need to disconnect the charge pipes over there, and I need to disconnect the degas bottle here. I think I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the charge pipes over there because that's fairly simple to get out. The next bolt's a little harder to see. It's straight down here, down where your, what are they called? Down where the charge pipe connects to the intercooler. Ugh, maybe deeper than my deep well. So remove this once you've got the clamp loose and pull it straight toward the firewall. And there we go. Of course, my clamp fell down into there. I'll have to retrieve it. Okay, so at this point we've got both pipes disconnected as far as the turbo goes. The next thing we need to do is remove that clamp there. So back up on the top side creeper, we get our 7/16 ratcheting wrench in here. Alright, that should be loose enough. I'm going to lift up on the downpipe just a hair. And then I just want to work the clamp off of the turbo. Ah, not quite loose enough, really. Not quite loose enough. That should be. Alright, downpipe is now separated. So the next thing we're going to do is remove these two bolts here and here so that we can pull the degas bottle slightly out so I can get the wiring harness out of here. These are just 8mm bolts. And once this is loose, wiggle it out of the way, like so. And I am going to go ahead and remove the clamp. There's a clamp straight down here where this hose. So now what you want to do is go ahead and this hose here, remove it down here. I'm just going to get this out the way now. It's just a regular old pinch clamp. Now with the extra space we have under here, we want to work our wiring harness here out the way. By flipping this up here, see, this gives me much better access to the, what I'm going to do is actually kind of screw this back up here into the hood. I'll show you in just a moment. And then what I like to do is just use a piece of old copper wire or something like that. Just kind of scoop this guy and then bring this back and just slide it underneath one of the windshield wipers. The idea is simply that you want this held up out the way so that you have room underneath to actually pull the turbo up and out. Now that we've got this far, I need to undo the Vgt clamp, which is our wiring harness, which you see on mine is in horrible need of replacement. I need to remove this bolt here, remove both the top bolts so I can take the feed line out. Now I'm going to take the old bolt, little trick. Put your bolt back into the hole it came out of. Makes it real hard to mess up which one goes where then. Now these top ones should be 10 mil. Now you can just get a ratcheting 10 millimeter wrench in there. Once they're broken loose, they really should just come right off with no problem. Now I'm going to slide this out the way, start my screws back in place here, again, to make sure I can't misplace them. Now to continue removing the oil feed line, we need to remove the bolt down here. And as I recall, I think that one was an 8 millimeter, which you'll need to get. Yes. You don't really need an extension on this one because you do have enough room since you've removed the charge air pipe here out of the turbo. You can get down there. Now that we've got the turbo feed line broken loose, we'll just undo the bolt down there. Once you have the bolt out, your line will just pull straight up. It's held in with an O-ring, so I find sometimes twisting it a little bit helps too. There you go. There's the O-ring that holds it in place. Just pull straight out. And again, the mounting bolt I'm putting back into its little threaded hole. Being careful not to drop it down in the oil feed area, because that would suck. Oh, would that suck. The next part of turbo removal, I don't know how easy you'll be able to see it, but I need to come around this side and remove the clamp that is straight through here. And here's the top of the clamp right here. I'm tapping it. This is the clamp from the up pipe. So we need to go ahead and undo that. It's going to deep well 7/16. That's probably too deep to start by hand, so I'm going to go ahead and get in there with a ratcheting 7/16 wrench. And you don't have a whole lot of room for this, so it does take a little while to get this clamp all the way undone. It's kind of a pain, really. Alright, now I've got it loose enough I can get it with a 7/16 on an extension. There you go. Push down on the back end of it, and usually that'll pop it free. So now it's loose on here, but the clamp itself is not yet off. So I need to loosen it up a little bit more. Oops. There we go. So I took the nut straight off of it. Slip that over here. The stud fell out, so I'll have to capture that from the back of the motor. There we go, but I can now work that clamp completely off there. Alright. Clamp is totally off, out the way. Alright, so the only other thing to do now are the 3 pedestal bolts. And those are, as I recall, 10 mil. So our first pedestal bolt is up here up front. I don't know if I can show you. It's down in there. And thankfully I had this turbo off about 2,000 miles ago to clean it. So my bolts are nice and easy to take out because I put anti-seize on them. So there's one bolt out. The next bolt is actually back around the back end of the turbo. Right here on the side of it. Not even all that far down. Oh, I love anti-seize. Now the last bolt is around back. I know a lot of people like, and I'll tell you right now, you won't hear me fault anybody who says that this back bolt's too much of a pain in the ass and they don't bother to put it back in. I don't blame them. I elected to do it. I elected to put it back in because I'm a sadomasochist, evidently. Bolt to bolt. Where are you at, bolt? That's not it. There you are. On the bright side, anti-seize. So all I had to do was break it loose. See, it is a pain to find, but look, I'm not even going to edit this. This was real time. That's how long it actually took me to get to it and start getting it loose. Yes, it is a pain. And yes, you do need to contort in some crazy ass ways to get to it. But there it is. Royal paint in the rear, yes. Alright, at this point, let me just go over everything again. The only thing that's still on this thing is the drain, which just pops right up. So at this point, just start working her loose. There we go. Get it off the drain, and then we start working it on out. Turbo's out. Yeah, that third bolt is a royal paint in the rear, but it's there to help triangulate, you know, the pedestal sitting down on it. So there we go. That's how you remove the turbo on an 05 F250. If you don't have one of these topside creepers, it's going to be a royal paint. It's not going to be something you're going to want to do. At least if you have a truck with, you know, some lift and all to it. So I think I'm going to pause there, grab a drink, and come on back.